Leanna Harris's attorney complains that this woman who has lost her toddler son is just being unfairly judged. Now, he says Leanna's every word, every action, every emotion or failure to cry in front of a crowd is being scrutinized for some supposed meaning. But it was the detective on the witness stand at her husband's probable cause hearing who claimed Leanna didn't cry when she heard her son was dead. It was the detective who said it was Leanna's own mother who was screaming at her over the phone and wondering why Leanna was so calm. Listen.
She just started screaming. And she's like, "What do you mean Cooper's no longer here? What do you mean?" And during this conversation, with all this emotion coming out, she's asked Leanne, they can
and the
hear
emotion, who's the emotion coming from?
The emotion's coming from her mom, or who she identified as her mom. And during this, she's like, "Why aren't you crying? Why aren't you reacting to this?"
And what did Leanna say?
She said, "I must be in shock."
Back out to the lion's den, Lonnie Coombs, former prosecutor. If there's anybody Leanna's attorney should be upset with, shouldn't it be the prosecutor and that cop who, in an open hearing that they knew was televised nationally and indeed internationally, repeatedly honed in on Leanna's behavior, even though her husband was the one in the defendant's chair?
Absolutely. And look, Leanna was sitting there listening to that evidence like all the rest of us were. She knew what that detective was doing. She knew what he was implying. And she has distanced herself. Brian, I apologize, but she physically distanced herself after that because she moved back with her parents. And then she got her own attorney. She didn't just go seek advice and counsel. She didn't go seek advice and counsel from her husband's attorney. She got her own attorney so she could get counsel and advice for herself. And let me tell you, Brian, you and I both know that when there's two possible, and I'm not saying suspects, I'm saying possible suspects in any case, the prosecutor is looking at both of those parties to see how much do they know and can we use them against each other. And there's a reason why we're not hearing from her or from her attorney, because there might be conversations going back and forth between the prosecutors and Leanna to decide, is she a witness? Is she a possible suspect? Can we use her against her husband? Those are all the other things that are going on, and there's a benefit to Leanna to not come out and say anything now, or her attorney, because that keeps the options open for her.
She doesn't need. Go ahead. She has no. Jane, she has no voice. She's been pummeled for the last week or two by everybody internationally. She had to hire a lawyer to speak on her behalf to say, hey, leave my client alone. She needs to grieve. So that's why she hired a lawyer, number one. Number two, the reason she went to Alabama is not because she's distancing from her husband, it's because she truly wants to sit down in peace and quiet and grieve the loss of her son.